So, David, one of the series that you and I talk about pretty much, I'd say most weeks, is the Gears of War series. And I think it's for good reason. It's an iconic series from the Xbox 360 and Xbox One era, whether you are a new fan with the newer games, you know, Gears 4 and 5, or whether you were there from the start with Gears of War, Gears 2, Gears 3.
I was there. Like a war veteran right now, be like, yeah, I was there.
But in today's discussion, David, I thought it'd be really interesting to pick your brain a little bit, to go through
Sounds painful.
A bit. I'm sorry, I'll be careful. I won't do it with a Lancer. I'll be as gentle as I possibly can. But what I wanted to do today is I wanted to go through a bit of a, not a tier list, but just kind of like a ranking from worst to best. So over the past couple of weeks, you've gone back and played through every Gears of War game. I'm just going to clarify now, we're not going to include the Gears Tactics games or, you know, anything of that sort. We're just looking at the main games and obviously including Gears of War Judgment in there as well. And we're just going to be going through the Gears of War games from worst to best. So I'm very curious to hear where you've ranked all of them. I believe we're looking at 6 games here in total?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So David, I don't think that there's any other criteria to go through before we just jump right into it. Maybe except for just saying that, of course, this is just your personal opinion.
This is just my opinion. Don't roast me like you roast Lennon in his Borderlands video.
That was a different video, and that was, we don't talk about that video anymore, okay? But let's
like a dark stain of your history right there, mate.
One that I'll never forget. Anyway. But David, let's just start things off with the last place. So which Gears of War game do you think belongs in the 6th place and why?
I want to obviously make a disclaimer. None of these Gears of War games are bad. I think each and every one of these games are quite good and fun to play. However,
they have their place.
They have their place.
And naturally one of them's got to be at the last place. It's just how this shit works.
It's just how it works, okay? So last place is going to be Gears of War Judgment, which is the spin-off of Kilo Squad following a young Baird and Augustus Cole as Baird as a lieutenant. So this game was developed by People Who Can Fly. People Can Fly, who are well known for developing Bulletstorm for Epic Games. And you can definitely see that a lot of it is influenced in this game, especially with its star system that is brought in place, which kind of reminds me a lot of like Bulletstorm's, like trying to stylize for points. And it's a fun game. However, it is lacking a few things in relation to a normal Gears game. An example, like you can't carry four guns anymore. It's limited to 2, and the gameplay is a little bit shifted a bit differently. However, it still has that Gears of War formula, taking cover, stuff like that. But it was mostly a spin-off game, and a lot of people don't seem favorable for this game because it really wasn't the Gears of War that they are known to grow up and love.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the game is fine. I definitely think it's overhated, but it's just, I think you hit the nail on the head because it's developed by People Can Fly. I think that it just feels a little bit different. I can't quite put my finger on it. Even like Horde mode was replaced with kind of like a different kind of base mode. Like it just didn't quite feel the same. And I don't know, overall, I just felt like there's something about Bulletstorm, right? I think Bulletstorm looks beautiful, like the lighting and the effects of the lighting, like graphically, Bulletstorm looks amazing. And I think that also translates to Gears Judgment. I think that it does surprisingly look beautiful considering it's, you know, it's a later Xbox 360 title, but overall, yeah, it's a story set in the Gears universe. Is it a story that we needed? I'd argue maybe not. And also, it's just a random Gears of War story, but maybe not the core series that we've all grown to love over the years. So
exactly, and it's not really a memorable story either. It's good to have. It's more Gears of War. Nothing wrong with that. It does add some obviously lore to Baird and Cole. It also does add some playable part of Gears of War 3 called Aftermath, which shows Cole and Baird going off somewhere during the main Gears 3 story. However, there are something that I do like about the story. You know, mainly it's going to be the modifiers you can do midway through the missions that add different elements or different modifiers that give you more points. But besides that, you're gonna have some fun, but you're not really gonna remember it that much.
No. No. Okay, cool. So that's your last place.
Yeah.
So I think that makes sense. What have you put into the 5th place on your list?
This one I struggled with the most because number 5 and number 4, I was just sitting there going like, they both have some good strong ones, like there's some strong elements. However, I decided to put Gears 5 at number 5. So Gears 5 is the last Gears of War in the mainline entry, which does follow Kat's story where we play as Kat trying to discover mostly what her bloodline means because she's the granddaughter of the Queen of the Locusts. It does have some bold narrative decisions and does open up the first time ever a semi-open world in the actual Gears franchise. However, I put this game in this place mainly because while the story was quite bold and do some really big narrative decision, it was quite forgettable in my opinion. And I do remember when playing the multiplayer, it did feel just really rough compared to the other Gears entries, compared to what we're used to. So it is a great game in the series, and I do love the character switch and the open world environments, or the semi-open world environments they do bring to the table. However, this game does feel like it was a step back more than a step forward.
Sure.
And I think the evidence is clear enough, mainly because we haven't had a Gears 6 since Gears 5 was pretty much launched.
Yeah, and I mean, fuck, man, they're going back to Gears War E-Day. Like, they're just like, all right, we're not interested in continuing this story, I guess.
They're like, well, what do we do here?
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, I remember when Gears 5 came out, and I just wasn't excited about it. I almost feel like they kind of had to really start focusing on old Marcus and all that stuff again, because I know that he was technically in the background. He was a bit of an element in 4, but I just remember like a lot of the marketing kind of circling around like, oh, Marcus is back in the fight and all that stuff. And I don't know, man. I just felt like it was just a little bit forgettable, kind of aimless. And I know that every chance that I get, I always try to throw in a Star Wars sequel trilogy analogy here, but it's just like, I just feel like everyone could feel by the time that, say, like The Rise of Skywalker came out, I actually think that a lot of people weren't excited for that movie before it came out, because I think people weren't really anticipating where it could go. And I almost felt like a lot of people might, or, you know, I can't speak for anyone else except for myself, but I just wasn't really excited, or, oh, where's Gears of War going? Where's the Gears of War series going? Because it's just like, it feels like it doesn't know where it's going, or it just didn't feel like it had that strong identity anymore that, say, the original trilogy did. So yeah, I agree. I personally haven't played Gears 5 as much, and it's purely just because of that. So yeah, so I totally agree and understand why you would put it in 5th place. So yeah, okay. So next up on your list, so we're now up to the 4th game in your Gears of War ranking. So what have you put in your 4th slot?
Well, funny enough, you should ask, because my number 4 in this list is Gears of War 4.
I feel like I could see that coming.
Yeah, I was surprised. So Gears of War 4 follows the story of JD Phoenix, which is the son of Marcus and Anya, who are back at it again to find a new empty threat, which is the Locusts are back, but they're not the Locusts, are called now the Swarm. Now, this is the first Gears of War game that was released on the next-gen consoles, the Xbox One era, and I do remember picking up the Gears of War 4 Xbox One S, and I love that console, and I remember downloading the game and launching it midnight launch when it came out, and I just love this game. And it was just so fun to play this new rendition of Gears of War and get to learn and know about what Marcus has been up to since, you know, the end of Gears 3. Spoiler alert, he's still an angry man. He's still a very old angry man, but the campaign is quite fun and the multiplayer is very tight. And to me, I love playing Horde mode, and the Horde mode was really, really good in this game. So that's why it deserves to be at my number 4.
Do you feel like, as far as campaign goes, because again, I haven't had as much to do with this game. I played it from start to finish when it first came out, and I was really excited about it. But outside of that, I just haven't gone back. So my memory is shocking with this title. But do you feel like the campaign is memorable, or do you think it kind of stands out at least on its own compared to the previous campaigns? Or do you feel like it's kind of just more of the same shit, but just like the next generation?
I think this campaign does stand on its feet because it was so interesting to revisit this world that they've built with this new entire cast of characters and seeing what our old characters have been up to since we last left them at Gears 3. And it was so interesting to see the mystery of the Spawn just become this new threat. So for me, that's why it's memorable.
Okay, so it does kind of stand out. All right.
Yeah, it does kind of stand out, in my opinion.
Yeah, so overall then, so even though this is in the 4th place, this is a game that you do like, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
All these games are good. They're just there for the sake of being there, essentially.
Of course. Okay, well, now down to the final 3. I wonder what they are. So in the 3rd place, taking the bronze medal, David, what have you got in 3rd place?
Bronze medal in 3rd place, we have the original Gears of War. So the original...
Knowing you and how excited you were for the Gears of War remaster that came out earlier in 2025, I genuinely thought that Gears 1 would have been much higher for you.
Yes, you are right. But revisiting the other Gears in the series, it kind of really put in place why number 1 is my 3rd spot.
Okay, interesting. So yeah, give us your reasoning.
Yeah, so Gears of War 1, it's the original. I mean, it remains untouched. It brought us into the next generation of what third-person shooters can become cinematic masterpieces. With a gritty atmosphere, it's revolutionary carry-based combat, the Lancer, the most iconic assault rifle in history, the Chainsaw Lancer, and it did set the tone for the franchise. However, going back now, it does seem that it is very lacking on some of the features that I'm so used to now.
Sure.
Especially with it having only a campaign and multiplayer. Replaying it now, it still holds up so incredibly well, especially when you now play it on your Xbox, PC, or PS5, which is weird to say. The story is a memorable one, and to me, it's just that the next 2 games, they just made Gears of War even better from this standpoint, and well done to them for doing so.
They iterated upon what was already there, and they just made it that much better, and I 100% agree. There is something to be said, though, about how special the first game is and how much they got right the first time, because I guess if they hadn't, we wouldn't have the series that we have right now.
100%.
And, you know, the fact that conceptually they came up with a really airtight cover shooter back when did this game first come out? 2006, I think it was.
20 years ago.
The fact that they came out with something so solid just all the way back then. Mind you, back then, Gears of War like 1, 2, and 3, like graphically, they looked incredible for the time. It felt like real AAA first-party titles for the Xbox. It just looks incredible. And especially being so early on in the Xbox 360 life cycle as well, I think that it's really impressive what they did with Gears of War 1. I think that the weapon system as well, how you know, the Lancer with the chainsaw on it, it's so revolutionary, dude. So I think that what they've done with the first game is so good, and they've really established just such a really strong and unique identity, which obviously paved the way for the next 2 games, and I guess the next 2 games we're going to talk about. So David, in your second last spot, or I guess the second best spot, which game have you picked?
So these last 2 games are up for debate, because everyone who would do speak could go, no, this one's better than this one and this one's better than that one, just because mainly they're just, people love these games and they hold such a special place in their heart. But for number 2, ironically, is going to be Gears of War 2.
Ooh, okay. Yep.
It was a gem to revisit this campaign, because it's one of the campaigns I so fondly remember but haven't touched since I used to originally own the copy back on my 360. The story is brutal, bleak, it's unforgettable. It really does lean into its full, you know, the horror of the Locusts, the tragedy and the scale of what the Locusts have done to humanity. From the Riftworm to Dom's arc of trying to find his wife, this campaign just takes the first one and expands it and blows it out of the water with just taking new risk and new ideas that it pays off so dramatically well, especially with its introduction to Horde mode, which was its first iteration back in Gears 2, which would become completely a staple for the series. The multiplayer was improved dramatically from the first one, and the movement and feel of how you control the gears is dramatically changed, where you don't feel very clunky, you feel more agile, more fast with the world you're in. So to me, that's why it deserves to be in the second place, because it expanded so much on the first one.
Absolutely. And I think that the key ingredient here is the fact that it does introduce Horde mode. Now, I don't know whether you'd say that this is the first of its type, because, you know, there was Call of Duty Zombies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's called Horde mode, I think a lot of people recognize and identify Horde mode with Gears of War, because a lot of other games, specifically, I'd say roughly around the 2012 era, a little bit after Gears of War 3 came out, games tried to copy Horde mode in their games. You know, Mass Effect 3, I'm pretty sure, had a Horde mode. Saints Row the Third had a Horde mode, but it was spelled Whore. And, you know,
true.
a lot of games tried to copy and capture this magic in the bottle, this lightning in the bottle that Gears of War 2 captured originally. And I agree. It expanded the lore in the universe as well. You know, you've got other COG characters as well, like Ty, and you see
and Dizzy.
You see the atrocities that happen to them. And like, you know, I just think it really does explore this world in a much grander scale as well, which I think is really cool. So
I remember when you find Ty after you go and into the heart of where the locusts are, and just seeing what they did to him and how fucked up he is. And I remember just like you hand him the Nasher, and just, you know, when he just points to himself and pops his head off, that scene has stayed with me throughout the years because of just, it was like a 30-second scene, but it was just so impactful that it stayed with me throughout the whole entire Gears story. So yeah.
No, absolutely. Totally agree. And David, I guess that brings us to numero uno, your final pick.
Numero uno.
I wonder what it is.
Number one, it's Gears Judgment.
It's Gears Tactics.
Number one is Gears of War 3, and what can I say that hasn't been said before about this game? This was peak Gears of War, with a perfect send-off to Delta Squad's story, with the Lambert being running around Sierra, the Gears being scattered as stranded, Dom's sacrifice, Horde mode being dramatically changed and revamped to a full entire base game where you can set traps, build turrets, and hunker down and have faster and bigger enemies, especially with its 50 rounds. And the multiplayer. The multiplayer is the best that Gears has ever been, with its fast movement, its new weaponry. The maps were just amazing, and the characters that you could unlock were incredible. So to me, Gears of War 3 is the pinnacle of all Gears of War games, with its massive set pieces, its emotional payoffs, and its refined multiplayer. It took what made Gears 1 and Gears 2 so special, and they really just found it in Gears 3. And I feel like since Gears 3, they haven't been able to replicate that feeling ever again.
Okay.
Now, so like I said, Gears 4, Gears 5, great games, but they don't hold a torch to the original trilogy, especially Gears 3. And I hope that Gears E-Day captures that same magic that I found with the original trilogy and in Gears 3.
Couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. And I feel like as well, just for the time, I know I've been kind of focusing on the visuals and the graphics, but I guess the Gears of War series, to me, in my mind, I always think of as a series that really pushed the boundaries with what the hardware could handle. And I always thought the Gears 3 was, for a while, like one of the best looking games of that generation for a very long time. Gears of War 3 looked incredible, and I loved, like, you know, fighting against the Lambent, the Locusts, like all that shit. Like, I just thought it was great. You could really feel like it was this was it. This is the last brink of society. They were just barely hanging on by a thread. And like you said as well, with Horde mode, they improved it meaningfully in just the right areas, with making it a little bit like base building or setting up defenses and stuff like that. I thought that was really fun. It's especially fun with co-op as well. I
love it.
I never personally got into like the multiplayer, but I have heard a lot of people sing its praises, and yeah, I just think it story-wise, it's incredibly satisfying. I loved all the new characters. Like, there was the Australian chick, like, you know, all these just different people. I just think that it really fleshed the world out a lot more, and yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it deserves to be in the first place.
Who can forget about the decision that the Gears of War fans made about Carmine's fate in the game? With downloading the avatars, the avatar shirts was like, you know, save Carmine or kill Carmine, and whatever had the most downloads would determine if Carmine would live or not in that third game.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking crazy, honestly. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that really represents the peak of the series. Not even just in quality, but I also think just in fan interest. Like, I think Microsoft really hasn't been able to recapture that lightning in the bottle that they had with the original trilogy of Gears games. And yeah, I don't know. I am very hopeful for Gears of War E-Day, but it'll almost be just so nice. I know we've talked about this before on our podcast and on our channel, but it'd be really cool if maybe they, you know, reboot it rather than doing like the legacy sequel kind of thing. I don't know. It'd be nice to see them try to maybe tell a new story, even if it is with the same characters, and go back to the peak of E-Day and all that stuff. But who knows? We'll see what happens.
Hopefully we get to see it soon. You know, it's coming for 2026 apparently.
Well, fingers crossed. I cannot wait. And if it does come out this year, we'll cover it on the channel.
Hey, would you look at that? You've made it through the entirety of this episode. Congratulations. This video is just one section of our weekly gaming podcast called Last Week in Gaming Today. If you're interested in checking out the full episode or more discussions like the one you've just watched, I'll leave a link to the podcast in the description and comment section below.